Hey everyone, Maria here. Good to be here with you today. So today's live Q&A, we have a couple of questions in. If you want to include your questions, just simply email us at desk@mariasumilov.com. That's desk@mariasumilov.com. Okay, let's go to this week's questions. So, Maria, you posted this quote. My pain paved the way for new thoughts. The new thoughts allowed my suppressed emotions to surface, and it was by attending to those emotions that I finally healed my pain. Don't be afraid of pain. It's a powerful catalyst for becoming more of who you are. Can you please explain how you allowed your emotions to transform? I think I'm overly conditioned by society to never show my emotions. Great question. So yes, the society does not really embrace us showing our emotions. So the only kind of acceptable emotions in societal standards these days is love and expressions of that, and hatred, which is all kinds of various different things about, being racist or misogynistic or, whatever else, just us and them kind of thing. So basically, division. So we don't often talk about things like grief. We don't often talk about things like disappointment, like personal disappointment. We don't talk about emotions kind of outside of love and hate because a lot of people we have not been trained to have the capacity to talk about those things. We haven't been taught as children how to talk about those things, how to go through those things, how to embrace those things in others. It's almost like those things are like the uncomfortable things to talk about, so people just don't talk about them. What happens then on a societal level when enough people don't talk about all the other stuff except for love and hate, or what we think is love and what we think is hatred, is that the society becomes unable to deal with emotions that are not clear cut. So then all kinds of phenomena come out, things like, if you're fighting with your partner, now you have to get divorced because it's either love or it's hate. So we don't have the tools to deal with things that disappoint us, that hurt us, that give us a sense of grief. A lot of people don't also take responsibility for their own emotions and hence can't. So there's always somebody else that they blame, and because of that they're unable to transform the emotions, the suppressed emotions. They don't even let them to surface in the first place because they are not willing to take responsibility for how they're feeling and what's going on around them. So you were asking, can you please explain how you allowed your emotions to transform? First, it actually says it in the thing. So first, I allowed new thoughts. So I opened myself up to things that I maybe hadn't thought about before. So new perspectives. And when I did that, then all kinds of thoughts and feelings surfaced. So to give you an idea, some time ago, one of the new thoughts that I had around pain was that maybe I am worthy. So for a really long time, I was like, I'm not worthy, I'm not worthy, I'm not worthy, I'm not worthy. And then I thought, okay, a new thought. So what could be a possibility of a new thought? What would be the opposite of that is I'm worthy. But I didn't have access to it. It was too far to the other end of that same stick, the worthiness stick from I'm not worthy. So I couldn't have, jumped from I'm not worthy to I am worthy. But what I did instead was I said, I'm open to feeling new ways around this. Maybe I am worthy. Maybe I'm not. I don't know. But maybe I'm not. Maybe I am, and maybe I don't need to keep saying to myself that I'm not. And that was the new thought that came. And then suppressed emotions such as I have needs that haven't been met as a child, that made me feel unworthy. So then I was able to recognize and address those needs that had gone unmet. And when those emotions surfaced, the emotion of need, for example, then I was able to ask for my needs to be met, because you can't ask for your needs to be met if you don't know what your needs are. So when I was able to ask for my needs to be met, I finally was able to heal the pain, because not only was I heard, but when I asked for help, people actually helped me, which was profound for me. So that's what I would say as an example of how I allow those emotions to transform. So first of all, just challenge what you say to yourself. You might say, I'm not good enough, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not whatever enough, fill in the blank. And then say, well, am I? Am I this? Am I that? Maybe I am. And just stay open to that, and then you will begin to get feeling, words will begin to come up, and then you can start working on that too. So yeah, the society is difficult. It's challenging to be authentic. Once you get over a certain point, it's not challenging at all to be authentic. In fact, it's like, if you don't like me, I like me, so I don't really care about what you think. And it's not a this kind of warlordy kind of, not, I don't care what you think, which is to make a point. It's more like, I know I'm a good person. I conduct myself with integrity. I always try my best. If you don't like me as that person, that's okay. I'm totally okay with that. I don't need you to change for me to like myself more. You can feel how you feel, and that's totally fine, and we can take it from there. So that's one thing. But to get to that point where you actually genuinely don't really care. Obviously you care what the closest people to you feel about you and think about you, and you talk to them about it, but you don't like the average person out there. I don't care. I'm here to do a job, and I believe I'm pretty effective at the job, and the results show that I'm pretty effective at the job. So yeah, it just becomes this, play between making sure that your appearances are always great and perfect, and accepting yourself and saying, no, this is who I am, and you're not required to love me. It's okay if you don't. But it takes a while to get to that. And inner parenting is truly the way to it, because we use tools that, like NLP, for example. And please don't think that I hate NLP when I say this. I don't want to hear that. NLP is a very specific tool that works in a very specific way, and it's fantastic. And the challenge with tools such as NLP is that it doesn't, like on a day-to-day basis, it's not, you're not fully, like you're still relying on something outside of yourself to a certain degree to transform what you're going through. Whereas with inner parenting, it's always with you. It's always, I don't know if I'm explaining this very well, but inner parenting is always, those 4 people are always with you, and wherever you go, their kind of communication and their triggering, if you know them well enough, is quite predictable. And so the more that you get to know of yourself through the inner parenting work and through the 4 people within work, the more you are able to say, look, I like myself, and I like myself because I live in integrity with my own values, and some of my values are to be a nice person, And some of my values are to do this work, and some of my values are whatever it is. But just to close that loop, when you, to the best of your ability, live up to your own standards and your own level of integration, you become an unstoppable force, because you are no longer, your inner children don't need the validation of other people anymore. You're giving that to yourself. And that's where real power in different areas of your life becomes. And it's not to say that you just want to be independent and self-sufficient and never work with other people or never play with other people. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying you can show up to work, you can show up to play in a lot better place, in a lot more open and productive space, because you are okay with yourself, because you are doing your best, because you are in your own integrity. So I hope that answers your question. If not, make sure to clarify at the bottom. Okay, second question. It seems almost everyone is struggling with overwhelm these days, and things keep moving faster and faster in society. Again, yeah, definitely. How can we use our 4 people within to manage the tirade of information that comes at us constantly, and the expectations of more? Okay. Yes, there are certain things that you can do with the 4 people within to manage that. But the thing that, the kind of overarching thing outside of like whatever approach you use, has to be that excuse me, don't stifle a yawn ever. It's energy coming through. Oh, by the way, yawning means that you're relaxing, so I'm obviously just chilling with you guys here. It's fantastic. I love it. So yes, there are 4 people within specific things that we can do, and I'll talk to you about them shortly. But the other thing is that we need to understand that the human brain is always developing. The human being is always developing. And the human brain and the human being is not used to this amount of information. Now, it may at some point evolve to a space where it is used to it, and probably will. If the planet has enough time to facilitate us here, we might get to that point in 100, 200, 300, 500 years time, whatever. That becomes the new normal. Like walking is now very normal. We take it in our stride. You know, we can get used to a faster and faster moving society and an amount of information that's coming at us. Now, we're probably not going to do it in our lifetime. So I want to just validate you in that. You are not meant to be okay with that. Okay? So it's okay for you to be, overwhelmed with the faster life, the more and more thing. That's totally fine. It would be weird if you were. And understanding that we may at some point as humankind get to a point where this is normal, but we won't be the generation to do it. We need to look at, what do I need to do right now for myself, knowing that these are the parameters for me? Which means that you need to understand that you can't be asked to be okay with this, which means that you need to set boundaries with this, which means that when you do, your overwhelm will lessen. And the way that we do is by connecting to nature, predominantly by connecting to nature, maybe doing some mindfulness exercises, that kind of thing. But most importantly, with your 4 people within work, your feeler, the feeler person in you, wherever that person is, the feeler person within you has to learn to have a voice about nature. So whether it's introverted or extroverted feeling, it doesn't matter. they need to be really clear, and they need to be allowed to have an open voice to say, without nature, human species will die, right? I'm going back to like super basic stuff. It was a very eye-opening experience to do my science degree, my agricultural science degree, because it opened me up to how actually life works. How does nature work? How do we grow food? All those kinds of things. And you mightn't think about this out there when you're out there walking around or shopping in a supermarket. You might not be thinking about any of this, but you need to know where your food is coming from, because if we kill all those bees, we're looking at hand pollination as a future profession, person that pollinates by hand, so that we can have food. So instead of having bees do it, we have to do it. So you need to kind of get out of your head and into the feeling center, whether it's introverted or extroverted, and truly understand that you're a biological being, and without biology, you will cease to being. Your head will never, ever keep you alive if your lungs don't work, if your stomach doesn't work, if your digestive system doesn't work, if your circulatory system doesn't work. Your head's not going to do anything about that. You're not just a head floating around. You're a biological being. And as such, you belong to biology of nature. So what do we need to do with that information? Well, we need to understand that your mind being constantly stimulated will give you incorrect information about what's actually important, which means that you will be stimulating your mind thinking that this is the only reality that there is, when in fact you're a biological being that allows your brain to be there. So without your physiology, your brain's not going to be able to function, which means that you need to go out in the nature, shut the Facebook down, shut the Instagram down, shut the emails down, even take days, a couple of days here and there where you put your phone away, put it in a drawer. People don't have to have access to you all the time. Same thing with news. Switch off the TV. Have a day a week or a day a month where you don't turn on the TV. Hide the remote control somewhere if you have people who are addicted to digital entertainment. Just shut it off. Go into nature. Go camping. You might go like, oh, I don't like the insects and blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. Well, that's nature. You might pretty fast try and get over it if you want to start appreciating nature and all the things that it's doing for you. The air that we're breathing, the ground that we're walking on. So shut those things down. There's no need to overwhelm yourself. You are not built for it. You're not meant to be okay with this constant stimulation. And if you are constantly stimulated, if your head is constantly stimulated and your brain is constantly stimulated, it will take away from the stimulation of your body, which then stops your if you feel under bombardment at all times, it will stop your reproductive system working from working properly, your digestive system. You're at this constant state of terror. Our biology is built so that the systems that are not necessary for your immediate survival will shut down. Digestive system, reproductive system. If you're constantly in this state of arousal, this state of, I need to protect myself, you will have infertility, you will have stomach ulcers, you will have those things. None of this is new stuff. It's all biology, it's all anatomy, physiology. All you got to do is kind of link the thing. Sorry, I'm going to get off my soapbox now, but to just wrap this up with the 4 people within, find out where your feeler is in your inner family. So who's the feeler? And give them a permission to get on their soapbox and talk about the importance of nature. That's number 1 in terms of the 4 people within work that you can do with this overwhelming fast society. Number 2, with your thinker, switch off the stuff. Once you finish watching this video, switch off your phone. Go for a walk. Decide for yourself that your mental state and your body state is more important than somebody else throwing a tantrum on Facebook. Because it is. You're so much more important than that. And then let's engage the sensor. Engage with the sensory activities that are not related to social media, that are not related to visual stimulation and stimulating, stimulation around people. So go and sit in the sun. Go and put your feet in the water. Think about the things that, traditionally have made you happy, body happy, sensory happy. Taste, smell, touch, hearing, all those things. It might be music. It might be your favorite, spot in nature. It might be whatever it is. Make that into a tradition for yourself, a daily tradition, a weekly tradition. Mindfulness is not a new concept. This has been around for thousands and thousands of years. Now it's just called mindfulness. It used to be called hanging out in the nature and breathing. And finally, use your intuition to intuit what's going to be happening in nature. Look at the different. If you don't live at the equator, if you live away from the equator, look at the different seasons. Look at the different times of the day. When does the sun go down? When does it come up? Are you noticing the difference in the day length? What are the things that? What are the leaves doing in the tree? What's the water doing? When did it rain last? Do you like the smell of rain? Just engage all four people within you, the thinker, the feeler, the intuitive, and the sensor, and really get back into your body. This is your life. You're not meant to be okay with faster and faster moving stuff, and you're not meant to be okay with this more and more and more and more. You're a human being, and what you have to offer right now is perfect. So I hope that answers that question. And if not, or if you have follow-up questions, just pop them into the comment section here, and we will continue next week. Thank you so much for these wonderful questions. It's been fantastic to be here with you today. I'll talk to you next week, if not before then. Have a great day.